Hey guys, it's Holly here and I'm with Dr. Lane Norton and this is the wrap up for my WBFF Worlds Contest Prep Series. Boom! We did it!
We started from the bottom, now we're here.
So I made it to Worlds, and a lot of you keep asking me, how did you go? How did you go? The reason that I haven't put anything out, I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah,
I've contacted the organisation and I'm just trying to find a place. I know I was in top 10, but they only announced the top 5 on stage at the announcements and the awards. So I'm yet to get any feedback from any of the officials, but I did get the chance to have a chat with Steph and Hattie at the post after party, so on a Sunday.
Well, so let's just give perspective. Steph is the 3-time champ.
Oh yes,
she
okay.
won.
Stephanie won and Hattie came second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool to chat to them. And the other reason I haven't put a picture or anything up is I don't have any photos. I have no photos from stage or backstage yet. So again, contacted the photographers, but they're going to be absolutely swamped this week. They would have had so many competitors, getting their photos taken. So I'm patiently waiting. I noticed that a couple of the other girls had some photos, and it was just because someone random in the audience that had a really good camera took a photo of them and sent it to them. So I don't have any photos.
I tried to do my best with the iPhone.
Lane was all over the IG, that's all that matters. So yeah, we wanted to kind of go through, I guess, how I felt everything went with the show, as far as my conditioning, areas for improvement, is there anything I would have done differently, and also we're going to talk today about my plans for the remainder of 2019, I guess. And that probably means we also have to talk about 2020 because you're going to plan for this stuff. Let's start with you, Lane. Let's get your opinion and your feedback from the weekend.
I think that you were the best you've looked.
Yes,
so that's great. I think that I felt you still had a ways to go to be able to be competitive with Steph and Hattie, only from the perspective of I think you have a structure that compares extremely favorably. Steph has extremely small joints and very large muscle bellies. So in clothes, she doesn't even look that big.
She's tiny.
Yeah. But on stage, she's very muscular. So I think that you had the muscularity to do well with that, but you have to get leaner. And I know how much you had to crush yourself to get in the shape you got into. So I'm just worried about my life next time.
Worried about my life. Well, you know what? Can I just add to that then? I had that period of 5 weeks where my weight stalled, not because I wasn't something magic was going on. I just wasn't compliant. I would say that I was eating a certain amount and I probably just was tracking incorrectly. I'm just being really critical of myself and my behaviors.
Wait a second. Didn't I say that something to that effect, possibly?
Yeah,
maybe?
No, you did.
All
but
right.
I think I know when I'm snacking, and I do really, honestly, if I pick at a strawberry, if I just ate one strawberry, I would go and put it in my phone. I'm not accounting for these things, but I think the problem was when you're starting to get so restricted with your intakes and your carbohydrates and your fats are coming down, you no longer have room for error. And that margin of error when you're eating out is much greater than it is when you are in complete control and you're looking at something on a scale.
The other thing to consider is that, let's say you overate by 20 grams of carbohydrates and 5 grams of fat or something like that, right? That's 135 calories.
Yeah.
135 calories when you're on 1,800 calories is a lot smaller percentage overage than if you're on 1,300 calories, right? So as you get leaner and your calories get lower, the magnitude of any mistakes get amplified.
Yeah, so if you think about our maintenance calorie range, yeah, like you're saying, if my intakes were higher, then that 135 calories
Probably not as big
is
of a
probably
deal.
diffused. But when we get down to the nitty gritty and you're trying to create a deficit, now I'm probably not creating a deficit if that, margin of error is still within my maintenance range. So I don't think I really woke up to that. No, I did. I know. I have a hard time dieting. Dieting's not easy for me. It really isn't.
You're a foodie.
I'm just a foodie. I put it out there. Like, it's really hard for me.
Yeah, you have trouble you love eating out.
Yeah. All right. That's your opinion on my physique side of things. Anything like from the contest prep side of things that you would do differently? I know I have my thoughts on what we might do next time, but
After being through a few preps with you, honestly, I love diet breaks. I think they're a great tool. I would like to keep you leaner in the off season and just do a 6-week contest prep because you do not wake up until the last 6 weeks. You just don't get serious. You just don't get serious. You.
I find it really hard while I'm not really lean to be perfectly compliant. I don't know. There's some kind of break in logic, and I know there's a lot of people that are probably similar in that effect. So yes, I was going to say, my feedback would be that I need to make sure I do keep a little closer to my stage weight if I intend to compete again, because I'll feel better about myself, and I can probably go in and focus.
You're gonna have to be much more diligent with your off season this time, but I think you're kind of there because you don't want to have to suffer like you did last time.
That was necessary. I think for me to,
I don't want you to have to suffer that long.
No. But as far as like the amount of weight gain that I put on in my reverse diet previously, that was probably necessary because we knew that I needed to have more muscle. And unless you are prepared to commit to a good amount of time in a surplus, that was never going to happen. So I think that needed to happen. But this time I'm kind of there. I think that if I can get conditioned enough, now I've met the girls in person, we can see how our bodies are similar and different. I think that I just need to be a little bit more conditioned, and that was a good thing. It was necessary.
It's hard to understand what truly crazy conditioning looks like until you see it in person. And then like seeing Steph in person, you're probably like, oh, that looks much different than pictures. Yeah, I think that this will make a big difference for you and allow you to kind of mentally get to that next level. Yeah, I think the other thing I was skeptical about whether or not you would be able to win, even if you looked the best out of the girls, simply from the fact that they don't know you. This is your first pro show. And I'm not saying that as there would be like political stuff or nefarious or anything like that, but it's simply power of the subconscious.
Yeah, I mean, like if you, as a judge, and I know like some of the judges have clients that were competing in the show as well, like you're going to be drawn to somebody that you're familiar with. You're watching them, you're intently looking at them. So yeah, I mean, the last time I competed was in November 2018. So it's, coming up to 10 months where they haven't even seen my face. And I do my best to kind of, keep reminding them of the fact that, hey, I'm going to be competing. We tag them in social media. We're trying our best to keep fresh in their minds. But yeah, I think that's definitely considerate.
Yeah, but meeting somebody in person is way different than just being tagged on social media.
Yes.
So I think that it was good. I was pretty happy. I mean, personally, in my opinion, I thought you would be top 5. I thought you would break that.
Yeah, Hattie and Steph actually said that too.
But, it's a very subjective sport. You win some, you lose some. Like, it's not, I don't think that, like, there was somebody out to get you or anything like that.
The other thing I think that, if I can add comment, would be about my performance. So, the physique aspect, not being known in the industry, in the federation is another thing, but the overall performance that you deliver when you step on stage is really important for this show. And I'm naturally quite a reserved person unless I'm just a reserved person, I think, generally. So to get up on stage and to be sassy and have like sex appeal. It's crazy how good those girls are at that.
Yeah, if you watch Hattie and Steph, they literally like bounce when they walk.
Yeah.
They're like you have to take it and you have to overdo it, you know, and that's not in your nature, so that's going to take time to get comfortable with. I think also, I think subconsciously you might have been just a little bit intimidated too, because there's two-time world champ, there's Hattie Boydell.
No, I don't think it was. It was just more like self-doubt. No, I don't really do the intimidation thing. I don't get nervous either. So
no, you don't get nervous, or maybe you do and you just perceive it differently than everybody else.
Maybe.
And I think the other thing too is that there's a lot of events that go on around the organization that you weren't really prepared for. The galas and the red carpet and all that kind of stuff.
There's so many events.
I mean, if you look at like the dresses that Hattie had on for everything,
all the girls,
it was all like dressed to the nines. I mean, you had a nice red dress, but it probably should have been a little bit fancier.
Well, I didn't even know. I didn't know the caliber. No, I've never been. So I got there and I was like, wow, like every event that we had. So for the media day, it was an all-white event. The amount of glitter and sequins and Swarovski crystals? I can't even say that.
I thought you were about to say swastikas. I was like, oh God, babe, don't say that.
Just the amount of glamour that goes into this was incredible. And then we had our registration night, which was another dress. And because I wasn't prepared to even go, obviously I had my interview on Monday, I wasn't mentally geared up for that. So, I mean, had I been 100% assured that I was going weeks ago, I would have probably had something made. So, yeah, I think I'm excited for the knowledge I've now acquired, and that you really need to put in a bit of effort to those kinds of events, because, you know, you do have a lot of eyes on you, and there's a lot of photos being taken on those days. Like the media day is literally 4 or 5 hours in a one big room, and they're doing your category photographs, they're doing individual photographs, they're doing country photographs with all of the competitors. So yeah, there was a lot involved. So let's move on and have a look at the game plan for the remainder of 2019.
What did I say before this show?
Won't be the last time I compete.
Yeah, she's like, this is the last show I'm doing.
Yeah, I forgot how competitive I was. And I think I saw all the girls walking around with their lovely crowns, and I was like, I wouldn't mind one of those.
Yeah, so I said, if you win, the only scenario I could see you walking away is if you won.
If I won. And I think you
But
were
even then, I still think you would have competed again. But if you were dead last, you're not going out like that.
No.
And if you were, you know, kind of middle of the pack, you're not going out like that. And if you were 2 or 3, you're not going out that close. So I just didn't see any scenario where you weren't going to do it again.
So addressing one of the points that we talked at before, which was being known to the judging panel and the organisation, I think that's a big consideration. I think if you just do one show a year, you're not really in their face very often, and you know, you're out of their eyes, out of mind, out of sight.
Well, I think it depends. If you're the champ and you're doing one show a year, or you're somebody who has done really well, won a show, I think that's okay. But I think, yes, you need to get in a show where you can do really well.
So the options were to wait until maybe like next year. There's a couple of pro shows early in the year, so the season kind of kicks off in April, which is the LA Pro. And that wasn't really a significant enough amount of time. If I'm going to do a full-on, fully fledged reverse diet, it wouldn't be long enough. So, and then there's also knowing how difficult it is to get back into shape. We've come up with a bit of a game plan, and we're targeting the December show in Atlantic City. which is
R.I.P. Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, well, that doesn't really bother me that much. It's okay. I don't need to be going
I'll
crazy.
eat for you.
So, what is the plan? We're going to do. I'm going to do an 8-week reverse diet. So from this week through until it'll be October.
Yeah.
Mid-October, I'll reverse and try and get my calories up as high as I can, without exceeding the 64 kilogram weight mark. Okay, so that's going to be requiring me to be fairly diligent with the reverse. It doesn't mean that I can't get my calories up nice and high. It just means that I can't risk any crazy blowouts in calories.
Mistakes.
No mistakes in this reverse. So,
yeah. And that means you got to keep the habits you developed. You got to take food scale to restaurants.
Yeah.
You've got to be really picky about how you have them prepare your food.
Yeah.
You've got to.
I think I was starting to get really comfortable with that though. Towards the end, it was no longer
but even sticking to like most of the day eating very low energy density foods,
and
fiber, miracle noodles.
I was
vegetables.
really starting to enjoy, I'd found some really great recipes though. That was probably the biggest thing that I found more enjoyable about this prep, was that I've spent enough time now with, getting creative with foods and meals, that there are probably 5 or 6 things that I just love. I really look forward to certain foods, and I actually reintroduced, just in the peak week, I was having Rice Krispies or Rice Bubbles and rice cakes again. I forgot how much I liked them, especially rice cakes, because they're crunchy. And I spent a week or two with a friend of mine and client, Shelley, and she was doing her rice cakes with a range of different mixes on top. I think I'd actually given her the idea. I just didn't do it myself. And she was putting well, it's a good idea, but I was eating different foods. And she would do strawberries or fruits on top and make it into a sandwich. And I was like, oh, this is really satisfying. So I've got a few new things that I can start putting back in that will make it easier, and they're very low calorie. So I hope that makes it more enjoyable. And then we'll do a 6-week diet through the end of October, November, leading to the December show. So no Thanksgiving, not a problem for me. I'm Australian, hasn't been a thing in my life, so it's not about to be.
We talked about, we come up with some initial macros.
Yeah.
So we took Holly's BMR from USF, which was 1376, is that right?
Yes.
And we just added an activity factor for sedentary. Mm-hmm. Usually we wouldn't do that.
No, so normally I would use an activity factor of 1.5 or 1.45 just because I am somewhat active, and then we would keep normal metabolic rate. This time we used, is that yawn again? This is what a week does to us without sleep. Yeah. So now we've taken my resting metabolic rate. It's getting late, you guys. And it's a sedentary activity factor, and that brought me up to about 1651, I'm going to say.
Yeah, 1651.
For a maintenance calorie, based on where my metabolism is right now. It's not in a good spot, we know that. So that leaves me with 150 protein, 157 grams of carbohydrate, and 47 grams of fat as my initial week 1 targets. So it's higher than last year, but I think last year I made the mistake of trying to be too conservative, and I felt really restricted, and it was really driving my hunger to the extremes.
Yeah, how have you felt the last couple of days?
Really good. Really good. I think I've done a much better job at moderating, all foods over the prep. So I've kind of been able to have whatever I wanted. So I haven't had that desire to go and eat and create. Like you said to me, what do you want on the plane last night? What do you want for dinner? You've been dieting. I said, I don't know. There's nothing I really feel like. If I've wanted something, I've had it. Mm. So I feel pretty good. It's just there is a dull hunger that's still there. So I know that I'm still at risk for, overeating if I'm not keeping my wits about me. So I will have to be careful. But there's no crazy drive to eat anything specific, which is good. It'll be just nice to sit down and have a like a satisfying meal where I don't have to give half of it away because the portion is too big. So maybe it'd be nice on the weekend to go and have like a big pancake stack or something, and it'll actually fit my macros.
And then what are we doing activity-wise?
Pulling right back. I was up to 2 45-minute spin classes. I was doing about 120 minutes on the Stairmaster at a fair intensity with the weight vest. I was doing about 10,000 steps a day and 5 weight sessions. That's a lot. That's a full-time job. Well, actually, it's about 25 hours once you equate for all the travelling to and from the gym. So pulling right back, still keeping all my weights in. We'll drop back to 1 spin session. I'm going to do 2 20-minute sessions on the Stairmaster, not doing a second spin just because it gives me more flexibility to do it when I want rather than having to commit to a particular time. And I'll pull my steps back to about 7,000, which is much more manageable for me with what I do. So.
And the one thing I've said, and I don't know, I know you hate that weight vest. I really think you should keep it on. No, but I think that that's a way, because you're really focused on like sparing your time because you want to write a book that's been put off for a while now. I think that that's a way to keep your energy expenditure up, but to save some time. So I think you're probably going to put on some weight. But I think it'll stabilize in the low 60s. So I think we'll be good. And if you're able to be compliant, I think we'll be in a good spot. Yeah, I just hope that you get back to being normal Holly, at least semi-normal Holly.
I'm waiting for my brain to start working again. That's what I'm most excited for, to be honest. It's nice to be able to use it successfully.
I'll be most excited to have my wife back.
Yeah. All right, guys, so that's the wrap-up video. That is the plans for the remainder of the year and shows, hopefully.
So I guess we begin the mini reverse diet video series.
Yes.
All right, guys, if you like the video, links are in the description. Yes. Buy some of our fine products.
Yes, if you want to learn more about the whole dieting process, you can find all that information in the Complete Contest Prep Guide. If you're wanting some support with recipes to help make dieting a little more enjoyable without being so restrictive, you can also get a copy of the Complete Contest Prep Recipe Guide.
If you need ideas for workouts,
training,
go to our workout builder. We have over 30 templates for customizable programs and workouts that are awesome, help you build strength, muscle, and support whatever goal you have. Catch you next time.